Now, Heather is a remarkable woman who has served in a number of different positions, is on the ascension as a progressive woman in a part of the world where there aren't a heck of a lot of progressive women. I'll let her say her story, but this is a remarkable woman who is running, and I'll be honest, when we endorsed her, we got a lot of blowback on this endorsement because she's running against someone who's got pretty good progressive credentials on some level, right? But the truth of the matter is, we need women running, we need to encourage them, we need to move them forward, and Heather represents a subset of a subset of a subset of a subset, being a woman of color with the courage to run for higher office. And by the way, it's a complete fallacy that women should run first for city council or school board. We need women who run right away for U.S. Congress and U.S. Senate. What do you guys say to that? We do. There's a great example of that in Kirsten Gillibrand, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who is on the ascension. And we're starting the committee. Kirsten for president, right? So, right? Yeah. Good. If Hillary won't do it, somebody's got to do it, right? So, please, a round of applause for Heather McTeer, and she'll talk to you for a few minutes.
3 weeks ago, my city was underwater. I live on the Mississippi River, and we were besieged by flood. And I woke up one morning to one of my city streets being completely under. My best friend and I went to go check on this area because it was an area that's one of the poor African-American areas of my city. And when I got there, the street was under about 3 feet of water because the pressure of the water on the levee created seep water throughout the city. So the residents woke up and stepped outside into water. There was one house where the woman did not want to leave. And the police chief had been over, one of the city council members had been over, and they couldn't get her to go. So my best friend and I, Jackie, who I'll tell you later, Sam, a little bit about her, we got in her truck and we rode through the water in our shorts and our galoshes, and we knocked on the door. And when I went to the door, she said, "Hey, Heather." I said, "Hey." I said, "Look, I don't think that I can't convince you to leave your house. But what I can tell you is that you have 4 small children. And the likelihood that you're going to be able to get in and out of this water just in case you need something is going to be nil. And so if you got someplace to go, I would suggest that you get there." She said, "Okay." And we loaded her and her children. She was a single mother. We loaded her, the kids, the dog, the cat, everything into the back of the truck. And then we rode her out of the water into safely into her mother's house. Now, I'm the mayor of my city, and I've been the mayor of my city for 8 years. I have served... When the people standing around and the men standing around, which included a state representative, a city council member, public works folks, when they could not go in to get her out, it took 2 women to go to her house, and she trusted us enough to come to save her. That's why you have to have women who run. Because women understand other women. We understand needs. And we have a way of being able to talk gracefully, with a smile, but with a security to help people get the help that they need. Now, Sam, you'll be happy to know that I asked Jackie to run, and she is running for supervisor in our county, and she's running this year. And she's doing a great job. But I am running in a very difficult area because the incumbent in my area is a Democrat. He is the former chair of Homeland Security, and he's been there for 18 years. The problem with that is that there's nothing significant that's been done in their area. And people on the ground know and realize that you can't just have someone holding a seat. It's about advocacy, it's about action, it's about believing in the people and setting goals and standards to be able to change the life of the people that you serve. And I've been doing that since I was a child. My father and mother came to Mississippi as a part of the Voters' Rights Movement in 1971. And so they're from Baltimore, Maryland. And I like to say they came to Mississippi for a year and never left. So when everybody else went back home, they stayed. As a result, my brother and I are native Mississippians. But there's pictures of me. My father was a civil rights attorney. There's pictures of me marching in different parts of the community. Because community service has always been a part of our life. I was always taught that you don't arrive until everyone else around you has arrived. And that has been my life and my lifestyle. As I've grown up, it has really touched my heart to see the place and the people that served me so well and invested in me, not have someone who is advocating and investing in them. And so as a result, my life really has been a life of public service. And now we're going to the next place and to the next level. When I see the attack that's being made on women, I can't help but think of the people that were my Sunday school teachers, the single women, the single African-American women that put everything they had into their children to make sure that we would have a better life than they would. It's our obligation to advocate for them. I'm an attorney by trade. I served as the president of the National Conference of Black Mayors. I am currently the chair of the EPA's Local Government Advisory Committee, where I chair 30 different elected officials from across the nation, and we discuss the issues of the EPA as it affects our people. But I can tell you, that flood situation, I tweeted it, I Facebooked it, and on Sunday morning I woke up to my newspaper saying that I was acting like a teenager and obviously only wanted to save my Facebook friends because that was where I was sharing information. Not to mention they got the same media press releases everybody else did. But when you talk about how attacks come, I've experienced them because I was a woman. I've experienced them because I was 27 when I first ran, so I was young. And I've experienced them because I was black. When I first came into office, I had threats because there had never been an African-American female elected to mayor in Greenville, Mississippi. So I would go to work and there would be little pictures of guns thrown out all over my workplace. When it was insisted that I have security detail and that they be with me all the time, I was accused of sleeping with them. I have been through the gambit, but at the end of the day, I'm still here. And so regardless of what happens, we need your support. We need you to understand what this takes, what it means, and what the advocacy means. Then we need you to help us get us elected. All right.
So long, have those attacks died down in the later campaign?
They've just evolved. They've just evolved, and I've evolved with them. Like I said, it was the most recent one was the one about using Facebook and Twitter, even though we all know that social media is, if you don't communicate using social media, then you might as well not be communicating. This very same newspaper just a year before had run a front page story on how awesome it was to have a mayor that communicated with the community through Facebook and Twitter. And then the editor turned around and wrote this scathing editorial, including my cell phone number and my personal email addresses, so that people could contact me because I wasn't communicating with people unless I was communicating in these fashions. So they've just changed and evolved. But I would say that they're learning because one of the things that we do experience is immediate pushback because as soon as that came out, immediately we have a fast response team now. That quick response team not only had a letter that I had drafted that was sent back the very next day, but also letters from other people that were immediately sent in. And even though all the letters that other people immediately sent in were not printed, they were already circulating and they were already on Facebook and Twitter, as well as through email lists. And the next thing they did was they did not talk about me anymore because they were getting so much response. I was getting so much positive response from the pushback that they shut it down. And it is a newspaper that is run by a very, very conservative right-wing owner. So it just evolves, and you have to evolve with it.